get started learning about mean, median, mode, range, interquartile range. Okay, so who can tell me? Mean.
Oh,
What is mean? McKinley?
mean is taking all of the numbers first and then adding them up. And then dividing it by the number they're in.
Okay, that's how to solve it. I just want to know what it is.
How is one adding up all of the numbers?
That's still how to solve it. I just want to know what it is. So you're right on solving. I just want to know, like, if you were to give me a definition on what it is, what would you tell me, Jake? It is the average of the numbers in a given data set. So the mean is the average of the numbers in a data set. So a synonym for mean is what? What's another word that means mean? What'd you say? Someone said it. Average. So if you see the word average, you do the same thing as you would for mean. If you see the word mean, you do the same thing as you would for average. So in science class, they use the word average. They don't use the word mean. Mean is strictly a math word. So as you get older, they typically will say the word average. You'll see the word average used a whole lot more than you will mean, in my opinion. Does that make sense, guys? Mm-hmm. Questions at all? Okay, does anyone know what median? What's the definition for median, Connor? Okay, that's a synonym for it. So the synonym for median is middle. So the middle number in a given data set, and then something very specific has to be done. It can't just be in the middle of any given data set. It has to be very specific. Eliza?
It has to be from smallest to greatest.
Excellent. So when arranged numerically. And we'll put in parentheses least to greatest. So the middle number when it is ordered from least to greatest. Range. Who knows what range is? Iba?
The ratio of a group of numbers from least to greatest, like the smallest number compared to the biggest number.
Okay, perfect. There you go. So it is the difference between the highest number and lowest number in a set of data. All right, let's skip interquartile range for just a second and go to mode. Anyone tell me what mode is? What does mode mean? Hattie?
The number most often.
Good. The number which appears most often. And then can anyone tell me what interquartile range is? Anyone remember what that might be?
I don't know how to explain it.
That's okay. Hank, what do you think?
The two numbers that are in at the middle of the
Okay, you're on the right track. You have like part of it right. Yes. Yes, Hattie.
the median between
Yes. Okay, so interquartile range, I think you guys all somewhat know what it is and how to find it. It's hard to describe. It's the middle 50% of a set of data. So it's not the whole set of data, it's the middle 50% of the data. Okay, now I didn't give us any examples, so that was my bad. So we're going to end up having to flip around some pages and stuff, okay? So first things first. Who can tell me, now I want to calculate. Now I want to know how to solve. How do I find the mean? To find the mean, you first do what? Add up all the numbers. So to find the mean, you first add all of the numbers together. And then, what do you do? Colo?
You divide them on how much numbers there are.
Excellent. Divide by how many numbers there are. Okay, what I want you guys to do now is flip to your next blank page. And title this one, we'll just title it MMMR. That way we don't have to write it all out, right guys?
Yeah.
And here's our first example. Write down these numbers for me. 23, 87, 19, 34, 37, 87, 81, 5, 14, 100, and 26. I'm going to read them all off again, okay? So make sure you have all the numbers listed for me. Are you ready? 23, 87, 19, 34, 37, 87, 81, 5, 14, 100, and 26. Do we all have all the numbers listed? Okay, we are going to find the mean. So what's the first thing I need to do in order to find the mean? Add them all up. Everyone grab your calculator, add all of those numbers together, but stop there. Don't do the next step yet. When you're done adding, double check with the person sitting next to you. See if you guys got the same answer on your calculator. Did we all get the same answer? What'd you get, everyone? Okay, so when you added, you all told me 513. That is correct. Now, what's my next step? I got to divide by the number of numbers I added together. So how many numbers did I add together?
10.
11. So that means I need to take that 513 and divide by 11. And you're all going to notice that we're going to get kind of a long answer, right guys? I want you to round to the nearest tenth. So remember, we got to remember how to round. Round to the nearest tenth. you were to round to the nearest tenth, what would you tell me?
47.
Not 47. 46.6. So that is your mean. Any questions on how we found that? And yes, you will be allowed to use a calculator, okay? Notes will be posted so you can finish them out, okay, bud? All right, let's go back to the notes page. Go back to the yellow page. You can take it with you then. All right, we found mean. Let's find median now. To find the median, you first have to do what?
Put them in least to greatest.
Put them in order from least to greatest. And once they are in order from least to greatest, then what do you do? Find the middle number. So to find the median, you first put the numbers in order from least to greatest, and then you find the one in the middle. If there are two numbers in the middle, anyone know what you do? There are two numbers in the middle. What do you do, Peyton?
You add them and divide by 2.
I add the two numbers. And then divide by 2. So if you are left with two numbers in the middle, which means you have an even set of data points. If it's odd, you don't have to worry about it. Even, you got to worry about it. There are two numbers left in the middle. You add those two numbers together, divide by 2, and you'll get your middle number. When you have finished writing that, go back to the page with the example. And we're going to find the median, which means I need everyone to put that numbers in order, please. Bless you. Okay, so we should all be back on this page, putting the numbers in order. Okay, here is the part where students will mess up on. You got to be very careful, okay, when you're ordering. So when I order it from least to greatest, what's the first number I should write?
5.
So when I write 5, guys, I then cross it off. Because that way I know I've done that number and I'm not missing a number. It's so easy to do your order wrong if you're not like crossing off what you're using. So what comes after 5?
14.
So write it down, cross it off. Then what?
19.
Write it down, cross it off. Next.
23.
Next.
26.
Next.
34.
Next.
37.
Next.
81.
Next.
87.
Next.
87.
Next.
100.
So you guys see what I mean by crossing it off to make sure you don't forget a number? Okay? Now if you haven't done so yet, find the middle one. Find the one that is in the middle. Check with the person sitting next to you, see if you two agree. What'd you guys tell me?
34.
34 is correct. 34 is your middle, which means the median is 34. How many numbers are there below, you guys? How many numbers are there above? See how they're even on both sides? That's how we know 34 is in the middle. Questions on the median at all? Okay, let's go back to the yellow page. Range. Someone tell me, how do I find the range? To find the range, you first have to do what? Jake?
The high and the low numbers.
I need to find my minimum and my maximum. Find the minimum and the maximum. Find the min and the max. Once you have found the min and the max, then what can you do? Then what should you do? Then subtract the maximum, or the minimum, subtract the minimum from the max. Once you have written that down, go back to our example. So first step for range, find the minimum and the maximum. What's the maximum, you guys? 100. Minimum, what's the minimum? And what operation do I do? 100 minus 5 is
95.
which means my range is 95. Questions on range at all? All right, let's go back. Interquartile range. This is probably the hard one. This is the one that's the most confusing. So to find the IQR, stands for interquartile range, to find the IQR, you subtract the first quartile from the third quartile. When you've written that down, go back to our example. Okay, so as I just said, I believe this is the hardest one, is the interquartile range. So IQR. So that means we have to find the first quartile and the third quartile. The first quartile is the median of the lower set of data, and the third quartile is the median of the upper set of data. So you guys know how you found the median already? Mm-hmm. This is your lower set, and I need you to find the median of it. What's the middle number of that lower set of numbers? So that right there is your first quartile, because it is the middle number of the lower set of numbers. Does that make sense, guys? Mm-hmm. Then I need to do the same thing with the upper set. So what is the median of the upper set of numbers?
87.
So that is my third quartile. So when you're finding the median, you might as well find the first quartile and the third quartile at the same time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Then once you found your third and your first, to find the IQR, what do we do with these two numbers? So we're going to do 87 and subtract 19 from it. So everyone do that for me. You can use your calculator. And what's my IQR, everyone?
68.
Okay, there wasn't a spot for this one on the yellow sheet of paper, but the last one we need to find is mode. Who remembers how we find mode? How do I find mode, Emma?
Mode is the one you see the most.
Mode is the one you see the most. M-O, mode, M-O, most. Does that make sense? So what number appears the most in this set of numbers, everyone?
87.
So my mode is 87. Questions? Okay, let's try to get through one more example before we have to clean up. Example 2. 10, 11, 17, 14, 2, 13, and 26. I'm going to add one more to it, okay? And 8. Okay, I want everyone to find the mean. So you guys should have 10, 11, 17, 14, 2, 13, 26, and 8. Double check with your partner to see if you guys got the same thing when you added them all together. What'd you get, everyone? 101. And then we need to divide, and what do we need to divide by? 8. Good, because there were 8 numbers. I need to divide by 8. Round to the nearest tenth for me. Nearest tenth, one place after the decimal. That's all I want. When you get it, double check with your partner. See if you two agree. What'd you get, everyone? 12.6. That is your mean. Questions on that? Okay. Order. Put your numbers in order from least to greatest, please. Remember to cross them out as you go to make sure you guys have all of the numbers listed. So what should come first, everyone? 2. What comes after 2? What comes after 8? After 10? Everyone, what comes after 10? After 11? After 13? After 14? And after 17? Do we all have all of our numbers listed there? Okay, let's go to mode. What's my mode? There is no mode. You are correct. Because there are no numbers that appear more than once, it is no mode. Is that understood? You can have 2, 3, 4 modes. You can also have no modes. So if for some reason let's say up here it was 87 and 81 both appeared twice. My mode would be 81 and 87. You can have two modes. Is that understood? But if no number appears more than once, there is no mode. Don't write 0. Is that understood? 0 is a number. Got it? Okay. Median. I need to find the middle number. What do you notice on this problem? It's an even number, so that means there's how many numbers in the middle? What are my two numbers in the middle? 11 and 13 are in the middle. So if I want to find the median and there are two numbers, what do I need to do? What do I do, everyone? Add them and divide by 2. So everyone do 11 plus 13. You can use your calculators, guys. Everyone do 11 plus 13. What do we get? And then I need to do 24 and do what with it? And what's 24 divided by 2? So 12 is the median because it is directly between 11 and 13. Does that make sense, you guys? Yes, Emma. Could you? Yes. But if you don't know the number that's in between them, you need to know how to do that method. Okay. That's why we did that. Because sometimes you're going to have to use this method. But otherwise, yes. Okay, questions so far? Okay, did everyone mark that 12 was in the middle here? Do you guys all see that I have a lower set and an upper set? So now I want to find my IQR, which means I need to find the median of my lower set. How do I find the median of my lower set? I'm going to end up doing 8 plus 10 and divide it by 2 because there are two numbers in the middle. Or I can just find the number that's directly in the middle of 8 and 10, right, guys? What number is between 8 and 10? So my lower quartile is 9. My first quartile is 9 because it is in between 8 and 10. What about my upper quartile? What two numbers are in the middle? So I need to find the number that's directly between 14 and 17. That's a little harder to figure off the top of your head, right, guys? So what do you do with those two numbers? What do you do with those two numbers?
Add them.
Add them. Everyone add 14 and 17 for me, please. What do you get?
31.
Then what do you have to do? And what do we get? So do you see why we have to know how to add those two numbers and divide by 2, everyone? Is that understood? How do we find the IQR now? 15.5 minus 9. Hold on. What do we get? You should get 6.5 as your interquartile range. Does that make sense?
Yeah.